New York in Madison Square Garden, where just a few moments ago, Jim Gray talked with Jeff Van Gundy.
All right, thank you, Tom. Larry Johnson has been taken to the hospital for a cautionary MRI. The team doctors now say that they are slightly optimistic that he might be able to play once again this season. Jeff, the mood in the locker room, and do you now feel like this is Game 7 with the loss of Larry?
Well, we just have to play well. We have more than enough to win with. We just got to hang in there, hang around, and play well.
No one's moping?
Shouldn't be. You know, Larry sets a great example, and he'd want us to continue to play very hard and go for the win.
Jeff, good luck in the second half.
Thanks.
All right, Tom, back out to you.
Okay, Jim, and once again, the Knicks did outscore the Pacers 13-9 after L.J. left. Marcus Camby once again energizing New York. Second half begins. Charlie Ward with Kurt Thomas, Allen Houston, Chris Dudley, and Latrell Sprewell. Houston bounces it off Rick Smith's foot out of bounds. New York's ball with 14 to shoot. Indiana has Mark Jackson, Dale Davis, Chris Mullin, Reggie Miller, and Rick Smith's their original starting five.
If you're an offensive player, as Houston and Sprewell are, this is when you find out how much courage they're going to have. Kurt Thomas is in the game. He's got to give him some offense. He turns it over on a traveling violation.
Kurt Thomas, the man who starts in place of the injured Larry Johnson.
How long is Van Gundy going to go with Charlie Ward in the lineup and Chris Childs and Marcus Camby on the bench?
Well, again, those two guys give him energy, and so they've got to go with that and get a little bit of something from Charlie Ward and then hope that this big boost comes from Childs and Camby to get the win.
Speaking of a boost, the only player doing anything for Indiana is Rick Smith, surprisingly.
The turnovers continue to plague them. That's 13 Indiana turnovers. Thomas, the entry pass to Sprewell. Gets right around Mullen. Smits to help. And he stepped out of bounds. Sprewell steps out of bounds, so turnovers galore here to open the third quarter. One positive sign for New York, they battled foul trouble, of course, all series. Nobody in foul trouble for them because they do have the 9 players available. 2 fouls on Childs, 5 others with 1 each.
Tom, if they're going to give you that baseline move, Jackson beautifully in the lane there, but if they're going to give you that baseline move like Sprewell just utilized, you got to set up on the lane a little bit higher so that you don't step out of bounds when you drop step them.
Mark Jackson makes it a 4-point game.
Well, if you're Indiana, you got to know the two guys that got to make buckets are Houston and Sprewell. And as I said before, I don't know why the Knicks dropped the ball into Dudley's hand, because it helps out the defense of the Indiana Pacers.
They ought to invite him to shoot.
Well, they're not guarding Dudley. Schmitz is doing an outstanding job of stepping out against the screen and roll tonight.
Reggie Miller misses. Put back by Dale Davis.
2 points. It came underneath through the basket. Dudley did. It was going to be a goaltending anyway, but Mark Jackson finally started the scoring for the Indiana Pacers with an effort of his own. Danced around, dropped it in, and that hoop brings him back within 2.
Charlie Ward looks petrified out there.
New York starts the quarter with 2 straight turnovers. 3 if you count Dudley's. Bad-looking shot.
Chris Dudley has struggled. You've got to find some way to get a decent offensive rhythm.
But they left Jackson alone, and he made him pay. Mark Jackson ties the game at 41. New York takes a 20-second timeout.
That's the most animated I've seen Larry Bird in a long time, up cheering the guys on, bringing them in, barking at them.
But it's been Mark Jackson in a 2-man game that's opened up the middle. You see Dudley does not close. Matter of fact, he's so concerned about Smith, he chases off of him, leaves Mark Jackson wide open. Back-to-back buckets for Jackson in a tie ball game for the Indiana Pacers.
But the decision has been made that they're more concerned about Smith than Mark Jackson. Is Larry Bird ecstatic that the Pacers have come out sharp to start the third.
And Mark Jackson, the subject of that Showtime halftime piece, leading Indiana to a 6-0 run to open the third, in the game tied at 41.
It has been a series of runs in the previous 5 games, and it's now up to the Knicks to get a little offensive energy going. And again, the 2 guys that are going to give it to them are Sprewell and Houston, and they've got to look to be aggressive at the offensive end.
Here's Houston with a screen from Thomas and a traveling call on Allen Houston. Turnovers plaguing the New York Knicks.
2 times, Tom, right in front of the Pacer bench. The Knicks call for traveling. Kurt Thomas, then Allen Houston. 2 guys with pretty good footwork.
Mark Jackson got the roll, but Smith Smits was on the rim, and they say, yes, count the basket.
Hugh Hollins is saying score it, but it was Smits who grabbed the rim.
This is the wrong call here by Hollins. Smits pulls up there, and it's Smits that pulls the rim down. That's an absolute mistake by the referees, Hugh Hollins.
That should have been an offensive basket interference, but no, the basket is credited, and Indiana has the lead, 43-41.
The concern for Jeff Van Gundy is that his team is losing that confidence in that edge. He's trying to encourage him to play on. Charlie Ward
misses the three. Dudley and Smits scrapping for the rebound on the floor. Picked up by Mark Jackson.
This is just like the start of the game, where the Pacers came out perfect. Bird went to the bench, and it was a disaster.
Reggie Miller for three. Got it! Reggie Miller hits the three-pointer, and Indiana once again begins by blitzing New York. Remember, New York began the game by hitting only one of its first 14 shots.
Terrific defense, Indiana. Igniting fast break opportunities, digging it out here on the run. Creates wide open shots. That's money.
11-0 Indiana run.